good morning, good morning. And thank you so much for joining me for the podcast of the True Power from Within. I do pray each and every day that this podcast touches you in the most amazing and encouraging way. So, this morning, I think God brought me to a really, really powerful word that not only do I pray that it touches the ears that needs to hear this today, but I needed to hear this today. And um, it is amazing how when you pray to God and you say, Lord, give me a message that can touch somebody's heart, give me a message that, can change someone's life, right? And he not only gives you that message, but he gives you a message that speaks to your heart and to your soul and that shakes the very being that you are. So, I want to talk about Jesus's first miracle. And we all know, well, if you don't know, it was at the wedding, right? It was when Jesus turned water into wine. But, when I'm coming out of John chapter 2, right? And it just talks about at the wedding that there was not enough wine. They ran out of wine. And, Jesus's mother said to him, there's no more wine. It's like she knew that Jesus was ready to do his miracle, right? He was ready to step into his purpose. He was ready to, let God show up and show out, right? And so Jesus answered, dear woman, you should not tell me what to do. My time has not yet come. And it almost seems like for a second that Jesus maybe, and I'm sure he didn't, but it almost seems like, because this relates to us, he doubted his purpose. Maybe he doubted that he could do that miracle, or that he was ready to step into that purpose, or he was ready to, be all that God had created him to be. And a lot of us were that same exact way, right? We feel it shaking us in our soul. We feel like we have so much to give. We feel like, okay, this is my purpose. This is my dream. This is my goal. And we can feel it in the depths of our soul, like it is shaking us to our core. But we doubt that God will show up in our lives. We doubt that we're qualified. We doubt that, we have the abilities or the smartness or, the self-worth to do what God has called us to do. So we step back. Instead of stepping forward into our purpose, we step back, right? We step back into the comfort zone, into the box that, where we feel comfortable, and we're not going to take any risk. We're not going to shake the boat. We are just going to step back because we feel as if we are disqualified. And then Jesus's mother, it was like she already knew. Have you ever had anybody speak into your life, right? Somebody speak into, my husband speaks into my life. Yesterday in a clubhouse room, another coach that I had met through my business coach, she was speaking into my life, right? And, reaffirming my purpose, reaffirming that I could do the things that I am fearful of, right? And I wanted to, I've been saying I'm going to start a clubhouse room. I want to start a clubhouse room. And I want to, and I, never really defined what I wanted that room to look like until yesterday. Because I had met another lady in a clubhouse room that has a daughter that is, trying to get sober. She's trying to, mend her relationship with her children because she's about to have a grandchild, and she's living in a transitional home, but she got stressed out and she went and bought some beer, and she drank just one time, but she went to her probation officer and she says, this is what I did. I relapsed, right? But she lived far away from her daughter, and she was stressed out and she was worried, like, how am I going to get back to be close to my children, and to where I could be around my grandchild when they're born, and be around my mom and my family for that support system, right? Well, she didn't know. and she went and got the beer, right? And this is pretty amazing, actually. But she said that she had been praying for God to do something, right, to where she could have the money, or have the means, or find a transitional home closer to her family. And she goes to her probation officer and she says, "Look, I relapsed. I drank some beer. I got kicked out of my transitional home. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm homeless." And they said, "Well, this is what we're going to do. We feel like you need to be closer to your family. You need that support system. So we're going to transfer you to another transitional home in the same town with your family." So when I heard this story, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this woman would be amazing for me to come into connection with, because I can give the testimony from the addiction standpoint, right? I can give the testimony from the incarceration standpoint. I can give the testimony from the trauma standpoint, right? But I can't give the testimony from the parent standpoint, right? I can't give the testimony from the mom that has watched her daughter, relapse and be in a transitional home and, then tries to get better. I can't give that, but she can. So I sent her a message yesterday and I said, "Listen, I met you in Leah's room, and, I think that we would be amazing doing a room together." And she's like, "Yeah, so what do you want the room to be about?" And I was like, never really thought of it that way. I never really thought about putting it out as to what I define the room as, right? Or what my purpose or my objective of the room was. And I laid it out, and she sent back, she's like, "Amen. That would be an amazing room." Right. So then I get on another Clubhouse room with Leah, and I was like, "Yeah, so this is what I did." Right. Da, 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 da. And I'm telling her, and she's like, and I said, and then we started talking about boundaries, and we started talking about self-worth, and we started talking about all these things in this room. Right. And, I was sharing and I was talking, and she's like, "Melody, the people that come into your room are going to be touched. They are going to be changed. Like, you have that life-changing purpose inside of you. Like, you can do this. Like, I don't know why you have not stepped into this already, because you have everything you need to do this." Like, she's like, "Your heart, your mind, your testimony, you have all of that." And, so she was speaking into my life, right? But then what was funny is that, our nurse, Destiny's nurse, she listens to Clubhouse, but she's never actually got into a room and spoke, right? So I pinged her to the room so that she could listen. And then I text her and I'm like, "You want to speak?" And she's like, I can't really relate to this." And then it was like God shifted the whole room and to a totally different topic, right? Like, we just started kind of going around and talking, and it's like God shifted it. And he shifted it to be relatable to something that she could totally speak on. And once that topic came up, I texted her again. I said, "Now, this is something you can relate to." She's like, "Yeah, I can." And she got in there, and so she was telling some stories, and she was kind of speaking on the topic. And we got out of the room. I was like, "Look at you," because I'm always telling her that you have to be vulnerable in your moment, right? In a moment, you got to be vulnerable. You can't, for your healing, you cannot, in your purpose, you cannot worry about what other people are saying about you. You can't worry about how others feel, or if you're going to hurt their feelings. You've got to step into that. You've got to step into and be fully committed to the healing process. You've got to be fully committed to being vulnerable and showing people, this is what I've been through, but yet God has showed up and showed out. This is what I've been through, but here's what I'm going through now, and here's what I'm dealing with. And we got to be willing to be vulnerable in these moments, because in our vulnerability, right, in our moments where we feel like we're disqualified, or we feel like we're not smart enough, or we feel like, nobody's listening to us, it's those very moments that God is moving, right? He's sending the healing. He's sending people that can relate to you in such an inspiring and amazing way, right? It's when we put ourselves out there. And she said to me when we got off of there, she said, she says, I just get nervous because I always second guess myself. And I told her, I said, that will never change. God's going to shake you to your very core, okay? I can get on here and I can talk to you, right? I can get on a Facebook Live. I can get on TikTok and act like a fool. I can do all of these things, but it took me a minute to get there, right? So now I've been struggling with Clubhouse, right? So here I am. I'm like, I know I can do this, but then I'm second guessing myself and I'm questioning my abilities. And, you know, am I really, do I have that much to offer to start this Clubhouse room? Can I really do this? And it's funny when we read this story about Jesus's first miracle, right? And it says, my time has not yet come. How many times do we say that to ourselves? Like, this is not the right time. Nobody's going to listen to me. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough degrees or education, or I don't have enough money, or my house is not perfect, or I don't drive the fanciest car. How many times do we say it's not our time? How many times? I know I have said that to myself 1,000 times. I've been on Clubhouse for months and I have not started this room. I have been doing podcasts since January and I don't even have 5,000 views yet. It's about stepping in even when you don't feel as if you're qualified, right? And we see as we go down, and this is what is so profound, is I want you to know that your blessings and your purpose and the thing that is shaking you in your core, and that you feel it and you know that, listen, I can do this, but I'm just so scared. I'm so nervous. Like, am I really qualified? You get imposter syndrome and you get scared and you step back in. But let me tell you something. Your blessings do not come wrapped in a box with a big pretty bow on them. They come in a problem. Your purpose does not come wrapped in a pretty little box with a big fat bow on it. It comes in a problem. Me sitting here talking to you today did not come because I woke up one morning and said, okay, I'm perfect for this. It came through trauma. It came through abuse. It came through addiction. It came through prison. It didn't just come overnight. I didn't just wake up one day and God said, all right, this is good for you. No. Because if I would not have had those problems, I could have not stepped into this. I could not have stepped into a Clubhouse room. I could not stepped into bringing a message downtown to homeless people. I could not have stepped into doing a podcast. I could not have stepped into the very purpose that God has placed before me if it wasn't for that problem. The thing is that we have to learn to step up and take authority over those moments. Take authority over the problem, because God didn't call you to it for you to struggle, right? He didn't call you through it for you to live in mediocrity, or to feel like you're less than, or to be unworthy or unvalued. He didn't do that. He put you in this problem because he knew that you could take authority over it, because it's going to become your purpose in which you walk in and help other people. To build his kingdom, to spread joy, to spread love, to spread kindness, right? To spread hope. He gave you this problem because he knew you could take authority over it and turn it into something more beautiful. And we see the moment that Jesus decides that he's going to trust God in the moment, right? He's going to trust God in his purpose. Now, Jesus could have said, listen, I'm not going to do this miracle because there ain't nobody watching me. I'm not going to do this miracle because I want to do it in front of all these people so that everybody can see what I did. The servants that got the water did not even see. These are 20 and 30 gallon jugs. Okay. So in my mind, I'm thinking they're probably wood, right? So you can't see through wood, right? So you see all of so the water is in there, 20, 30 gallons. There's water in there. You can't see through that. You can't see that Jesus turned the water into wine. You can't see that it turned a different color, right? Maybe it didn't turn a different color. I don't know if it was red wine or white wine. I don't know what it was. But the thing is that nobody saw the miracle actually happen, right? And then Jesus said to the servants, just dip the water out and take it over there, right? And serve it. I mean, if I'm making something in the kitchen, all right, if I'm cooking up something, I'm going to taste it first, right? Because I don't want to give it to my husband if it tastes bad, right? Or at least if it tastes bad, I can say, I don't know if you're going to like this, right? Because I question myself, is it good? If it's a new recipe, you want to try it, right? Jesus did not even try this wine. He just trusted God in his miracle and said, go and serve it. Just dip it out and go and serve it. How many times in your life do you try it out first? Right? God says, go do this, or go do this, or here, I'm going to give you this, right? But you want to test it out first. You don't want to step into it, and trust him wholeheartedly. You want to try it first. Let me just put one foot in and just test it out a little bit. But we see here that this was Jesus's first miracle, right? Nobody saw it. Nobody saw the water turn into wine. He trusted God in his very purpose, right? He trusted God in the miracle, and he said, you know what? Just go serve it. When are we going to start trusting God in his miracle, right? We've seen so many miracles in our life. We've seen God show up and show out in our lives, but yet we just want to try it out. We just want to tiptoe around in the purpose, but we don't want to put both feet in and commit to it. Because to us, in our eyes, it's a problem. It's uncomfortable. It's out of the ordinary. It's a risk. It costs money. Or you can go to the other spectrum. I'm not worth it. My family's never had a lot of money. There's nobody in my family that's went to college. There's nobody in my family that's been pastors. There's nobody in my family that has done podcasts or been public speakers or been millionaires. So because of your limiting beliefs, not only in yourself, but in God and what he can do in his power, we just dabble in it. We just tiptoe around in it. What I want to share with you today is that your purpose does not come in a pretty box. Your miracle's not going to come in a Ferrari. It's not going to come in a 5,000 square foot home. It's not going to come with $1 million in your bank account. The miracle comes in a problem. The purpose comes in a problem. So that very thing that you feel like you've been going through for so long and it's not changing, or you're so scared, or you're like, okay, everything is right here that I need, but I'm scared to step into it. That very problem is your purpose. That very problem is the miracle that you can trust God in, and he's going to turn that water into wine. And you're not even going to have to taste it. All you have to do is trust him. But today it's time for you to take authority over your miracle. It's time for you to take authority over your purpose. It's time for you to stop dabbling in it. Stop dancing around in it. It's time for you to jump in with both feet and say, God, I trust you. Even though I don't feel like I'm qualified, I don't feel like I belong here. I feel like everybody's talking about me. I feel like people are judging me. It's time for you to step into your purpose and into your miracle, because God has already ordained it for you. He's already created grace in that space for you. He's already said, it's done. I've already turned the water into wine. All you need to do is serve it up. Stop telling yourself that this is a problem. This is too big of a risk. This is your miracle moment. This is the moment that you see the problem, you take authority over it, because it's going to turn into your purpose and your miracle. You didn't go through that thing just because. You didn't go through that addiction and get sober just because. You didn't get that promotion just because. You got that promotion because God has a greater purpose in it. You went through that addiction and got sober and did something with yourself because God had a purpose in it. You were homeless. You had nobody around you to help you. It was a problem. It was devastating. It was a trauma, but God did that for a purpose. So today it's time for you to stop saying, it's not my time. It's too big of a risk. It's time for you to stop saying that. It's time for you to take the bull by the horns. It's time for you to trust God that He's going to turn that water into wine. It's time for you to look at the problem as a purpose, to look at the pain as a purpose, to dig deep inside and say, okay, what is this, Lord, that you're trying to get me to do? Where are you taking me? I'm going to trust you, even though I feel like it's not my time, but I'm going to trust you because in your word, Jesus said it was not his time, but yet he still made a miracle happen because he trusted you in his purpose. So today I want to tell you that it's in the problem. It's in the problem. The miracle is in the problem. It's time to take authority over your life and over your purpose because God says he's got the miracle ready for you. He's already turned the water into wine. It's just time for you to serve it up. So stop being afraid. Stop being scared. Stop being fearful. Stop having imposter syndrome and self-doubt and limiting beliefs over all the things you feel like you're unqualified for, because your life and your experiences and your lessons and the miracles of the past has put you in a position that you are qualified to live out your purpose. And God has already created grace in that space for you. He's already lined up the people to come into your life to speak over that purpose and to speak over that dream and to help you get to the next level. But you have to take the first step and stop saying, it's not my time, because it is your time. So today I encourage you to start walking in that purpose. Walk into the miracle that God has already said you can have. He's already turned that water into wine, and it's time for you to serve it up. And I thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. I hope that I added value to your life. Please go ahead and, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and share that to your social media. If you're actually listening on the podcast, then go ahead and just screenshot it and share it to your social media. And again, I hope it added value to your day, and I hope you have an awesome day, and I will see you again really soon. Bye-bye.